So, what's the real point of primary school? Is it just about learning your ABCs and multiplication tables, or is it something bigger? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the International Baccalaureate's Primary Years Program, or PYP. It's a framework for kids aged 3 to 12, and it completely rethinks what early education is all about.
I mean, really think about that for a second. What if the main goal of school wasn't just about cramming kids' heads full of facts, but about shaping the kind of people they grow up to be? This one question, it's the very heart of the entire PYP philosophy. And this isn't just some vague, feel-good idea. It's written right into the IB's mission statement. The goal isn't just about getting good grades, it's about nurturing young people who are curious, who are smart, sure, but who are also compassionate and want to make the world a better place. It sets a really powerful, ambitious tone for everything else.
Okay, so how in the world does the PYP actually do that? Well, the whole program is kind of reverse-engineered from one big idea, the IB learner. Think of this as the final product, the North Star for the entire educational journey.
The IB learner is really a combination of 10 key qualities. But here's the thing. These aren't just boxes to check off and then forget about. They're meant to be lifelong habits of mind that shape how a person sees and interacts with the world, long after they've left the classroom.
It all kicks off with the brainy stuff. The goal is to create students who are true inquirers, kids who are naturally curious and ask great questions. And of course, to help them become knowledgeable by digging into important ideas and issues, both in their own backyards and around the globe.
But all that knowledge isn't meant to just sit there collecting dust. Students are really pushed to be thinkers, to use their critical and creative skills to wrestle with tough problems. And just as important, they learn to be awesome communicators, sharing their ideas confidently and working well with others.
Now, being smart is only half the battle, right? That's why it's balanced with a really strong moral compass. Being principled is all about acting with honesty and fairness, and being caring is about developing empathy and respect for others. These emotional skills are seen as every bit as important as knowing your math facts.
And to round it all out, the last few attributes focus on personal growth. A PYP student is encouraged to be a risk-taker, not in a reckless way, but being brave enough to try new things. They learn to be balanced, understanding that their minds and bodies are connected. And they become reflective, taking the time to think about their own progress. Put them all together, and you get this complete picture of the IB learner.
Okay, so that's the destination, the IB learner. But what's the roadmap to get there? Now we're going to look at the how, the actual blueprint that guides what happens in the classroom. At the very core of the PYP is this idea called transdisciplinary learning. I know, it sounds a little academic and clunky, but the concept is actually pretty simple and, well, beautiful. Forget teaching math over here, science over there, and art in a totally separate room. The PYP connects them all, letting students explore one big idea through the lens of many different subjects. It creates this amazing web of understanding.
And what's really cool is how collaborative this all is. The PYP isn't some super rigid rule book sent from on high. Instead, the IB provides the big framework. Then, each school gets to adapt it to fit its own community and mission. And finally, the teachers themselves have the freedom to design specific lessons and projects for their own students. It's a real partnership. So, all this talk about learning without borders sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like day to day? Let's step out of the blueprint and into the classroom to see how this stuff really comes to life.
Okay, check this out. This is a perfect example. Take a big, abstract idea like perspective. Instead of just memorizing a definition, a PYP class might explore it through dance, music, and art. They're all digging into the same core concept, but from totally different angles, which builds a much deeper and richer understanding than any single subject could on its own.
And these kinds of explorations pull from 6 main subject areas, everything from arts and science to math and social studies. The key is, they aren't kept in their own little silos. They're constantly woven together to help kids explore those bigger, overarching themes.
But just understanding things is really only step one. The PYP is all about turning that knowledge into real, meaningful action, empowering students to take what they've learned and actually make a difference in the world.
And this is driven by a huge idea called learner agency. Basically, it's the belief that students aren't just passive sponges meant to soak up information. They are empowered to take ownership, to share their opinions, and even to guide their own investigations. They become the co-pilots of their own education, not just passengers.
And this isn't just theory. It leads to very real action.
A student might use their art skills to create posters advocating for a cause they believe in. They might explore social justice by stepping into the shoes of different characters in a play. Or they might even show some entrepreneurial spirit by starting an art club for their friends. In the PYP, learning and doing are two sides of the same coin.
All right, finally, let's zoom out a little and look at the big picture. Because the primary years program isn't just a one-off thing. It's the very first step on a much longer journey.
You can see here how the PYP is literally the foundation for the entire IB pathway, which runs all the way from age 3 to 19. All those skills, concepts, and learner attributes we've been talking about, they're the bedrock that everything else, the middle years, diploma, and career-related programs, is built upon. Which brings us right back to where we started, with a powerful question. The whole idea of the PYP is learning without borders, breaking down the walls between subjects, between different cultures, and between the classroom and the real world. So the question to leave you with is this: what happens when you raise a generation on that idea? How might that change the way they see, and maybe even shape, our world?